Hey, welcome to the channel. In today's session, we're going to be looking at some essential Map 3D features that I feel every Civil 3D user should be aware of and know how to use. They'll definitely help your workflow, make life a lot easier. And First of all, one thing I want to explain too, if you're not aware of this, is if you have access to Civil 3D, you have access to Map 3D. Now, you may or may not know that, but just kind of a little background history. So, Civil 3D is your one stop shop, all in one inclusive package for civil and survey design and processing. And that was written on top of another Autodesk product called Map 3D, which is their visual GIS solution. And then that was written on top of AutoCAD, which is obviously your drafting solution. And so when you launch Civil 3D, you actually have all three programs running simultaneously. And you can switch to the various workspaces to focus on any one of those dedicated products, or you can launch any command from any workspace. So I can be in Civil 3D, launch a map command, be in map, launch a CAD command, on and on and on. So just kind of be aware of that. So if you have Civil 3D, you have Map 3D. All right. So coming up into my workspace switcher at the top of the screen, you'll see it currently says I'm in Civil 3D. And then inside here, you'll see the default ones that ship with the product. So 2D drafting and annotation, that's your 2D AutoCAD. 3D modeling, that's your 3D AutoCAD. And then planning and analysis, that's your Map 3D. All right. So I'm going to switch over to planning and analysis. And you can see how my workspace kind of reconfigures itself. And now I have basically GIS tools available to me. So your traditional Civil 3D surfaces, alignments, things like that, you're not going to find up on the ribbon anymore. Now we're in the map workspace. All right, so the first one I want to show you is one of their cleanup tools. And so this is not available in Civil 3D as a Civil 3D tool. This is not included in AutoCAD either. This is a map tool. But like I said, since you have Civil 3D, you have this map tool inside your Civil 3D. So if you were to navigate utilizing a ribbon, we can come up to the Tools menu, and you'll see the Drawing Cleanup tool right here. You can also see from the tooltip right there, Map Clean is the command you can type if you happen to be on the Civil 3D workspace. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then there's a little bit of a wizard we can run through. And I'll walk you through each of these various elements so you can kind of see what your options are. So first of all, what do you want to clean up? So we can specifically pick certain items, or we can have it do the entire thing. So this tool is really good if you have problem files. Maybe you end up getting like duplicates, stacked objects, things like that. Or what I use it for personally is whenever I receive a file from somebody, especially if it's an external, contractor or somebody. A lot of times they don't have the best drafting quality, and I need to use their file as part of my base map or something. And so it ends up causing more problems than it's worth if the drafting is bad. And so I always will run a drawing cleanup on any file I receive from somebody. All right, so for this purpose, I'm just going to say, let's clean the entire file. You can also omit stuff. You can say, hey, clean everything except don't touch these layers. Certain layers that you just do not want to be affected. Maybe they're precisely calculated, property lines, boundaries, whatever it may be. So we're just going to say clean everything. We'll go next. And now we have a series of different tools that we can choose from. Now, according to Autodesk, if you talk to them, their recommendation is to perform each of these individually. So if you want to check for duplicate objects that are identical stacked on top of each other, you can run a delete duplicates. And any ones you choose from here, you hit the add button. Any ones you don't want, you can just say remove. You take away all the ones you don't want. All right. So if I wanted to delete duplicates, I would say add. Once I add that in, I can tell it what object types that I want it to look for and clean up. And I can also give it a tolerance. So if something is, within 100th or 1/10 of the equal length of another object, you can go ahead and remove that. Anything bigger or smaller, again, you can start adjusting and tweaking some of those things. But what's really nice about that is, as you can see, there's quite a few tools here. If you were to run them one by one, and then set all of your options and tolerances and such each time, that could take some time. And so one of the things that Autodesk does provide for you and makes it really convenient is once you set this up, for example, delete duplicates, choose my preferences on it, I can hit save. And I can save this somewhere on my machine or somewhere on the network. And now anytime I get a drawing, I can come right to this window and hit load and then pick that file. And it's automatically going to set this up with all of my options in here. Okay, so lots of cool stuff you can do here. Again, I'm going to go kind of against the grain of what their recommendation is. I'm just going to do a bunch of these all at once. The only reason they don't really love for you to do a bunch at once is you can't really control. Well, you can control the ordering here of how things are done, but you can't really control that if one cleanup operation affects one object, is it going to affect the next cleanup operation? So if you have multiple operations that might affect the same object, it gets a little bit trying on, is it going to be, should it be cleaned with this tool or with the next tool? So that's all it is. But yeah, again, if you want to go ahead and set each of these up, save each of these, and load them whenever you're ready, you can do all of that stuff. For me, right now, we'll just do a bunch of them. So we'll say, we'll even use the default values. We'll just say, hey, look for any duplicate objects, delete those. If there's any, undershots where they didn't quite use their snaps right and snap to the objects, extend the undershots. If there's any like lines that are supposed to be an intersection, but they're not quite lined up, let's fix that. If we've got a bunch of nodes all on top of each other, snap all those studio nodes together. Our clustered nodes, and then get rid of any studio nodes we don't need. And then we can say, hey, if there's any zero length objects, get rid of those. You can also weed polylines, simplify objects, things like that, all these different things. So tons of stuff we can do. We grabbed a bunch of them here. And then down here, there's two options, automatic mode and interactive mode. Automatic mode will just, once you get through the wizard, it'll just do everything and then you can see the results. Interactive mode, it'll actually take you to a final page where it'll actually stop and zoom you to every single object so you can review the item it found and then choose to repair it or not to repair it. So I'll do it both ways real fast because it'll just take a second to do it. But so we'll just go ahead and we'll leave it on automatic right now. We'll go next. Now, what do you want it to do? Do you want to have it modify the original objects in your file? Do you want it to keep the original ones and make new objects, or delete and then create new? And then there's some additional cleanup tools you can do as well. Convert all my lines to polylines, all of my arcs to polylines, things like that. All right. Now, you'll notice the next button is grayed out, and that's where you can review them in the interactive mode. So if I just go finish, the screen kind of blinks really quick. Don't really see much happening, but if I go ahead and hit the F2 function key, go ahead and expand that out. You'll see that just running those things that it did do for me, it modified 1,535 objects, it deleted 648 objects, and it created 220 new objects. So all of that by just running that wizard really quick. All right, so let me just show you the interactive mode as well. So I'm going to hit the undo really fast. And we'll undo back to there. And once again, I went all the way back to Civil 3D. So let me switch back to Map. Tools, Drawing Cleanup, everything. We'll keep all of that stuff. This time we'll say Interactive. Next, next. And then so now we can see the various properties that are coming in. So now I can go finish, and it brings up the interactive dialog box. And so delete duplicates. Again, it found 3 of them. So if I click on one of them, I have the auto zoom turned on. It shows me, hey, there's that duplicate right there. Okay, and I can say fix it, remove it, mark it, go to the next item. There's one there. go to the next items. Those are there. And then you just kind of work your way through until you've fixed or accepted any of them. Because there might be something you say, hey, that's a precise thing. I don't want to mess with that. So you can do that as well. All right. So that's your drawing cleanup tool. Really handy tool. Again, especially if you're receiving files from outside people that are not part of your organization, and you just want to get a nice clean file without a bunch of garbage in it, fix all the drafting in one fell swoop. That's going to be the tool for you. All right. The next one I want to go into is going to be the image insert tool. And so when it comes to Civil 3D, AutoCAD, Map 3D, again, they're all kind of cohesively combined. There's probably about 4 or 5 different ways to insert an image into your drawing file. However, the map version is the most intelligent one. So if you're just using your typical, reference manager and saying, I want to insert an image, and then you go ahead and you pick an image, it'll do that. But it's going to be very manual, not very intelligent. It's not going to allow you to put things in precision. It's basically just going to say, pick a file and then click where you want it to be inserted to. So not very intelligent in that regard. And the same with AutoCAD, limited functionality as well. So if I went over to the Insert ribbon tab, over on the Image panel, you'll see one called Image. And again, if you look at the tooltip there, it says Map I Insert, Map Image Insert. Now, what's unique about this one is if you happen to have a file, and say, for example, you've got a TIFF here, and what you want is you want to have an image with a world file assigned to it. So world files are basically coordinate files, transformation files, and they're going to have the exact same name as your image, and they're going to be in the exact same folder. And this one happens to be a .tiff, where the world file is a TFW. Okay, so this file tells it where the image needs to exist in the real world, on a coordinate system, within a drawing, or whatever it may be. It gives it those directions. And all the other insertion tools don't have that, don't offer that. So if I come in and I say, I want to insert an image, I can pick a file. And for example, I pick this one here. They give you a lot of nice detailed information about the image, the size, the pixels, everything like that. And I can go ahead and say open. And what I end up getting next is the image correlation dialog box. You can see it's correlating with a world file, and it has XY values telling it where to insert the image. And it can also rotate the image. It can also scale the image, set the units for it, and do everything. And so this is a really cool way to do that, so that your image comes in right where it needs to be every time. And so now if I insert that, you can see the image is in there. And then if you look at my coordinate tracker down here, you can see, I'm not anywhere near 0, 0. It didn't ask me to click a point to place it. It's on coordinates. And so if I turn on my geolocation, my aerial imagery is going to line up with the image. It's going to land right on my project. Everything's going to work really great. Also, as a bonus tip to this, if you're not used to having or receiving images with world files in them, you do have the ability to make your own world files if you have the raster design package added onto your Civil 3D. And what this does is it allows you to insert an image just like you would traditionally. You can just use the standard image insert or reference tool. And then once it's in there, you can use the align tool or the rubber sheet tool and line it up on the location it needs to be. So whether it's on coordinates, line it up with some building corners, property lines, whatever it may be. And once you get that image transformed and into place where it needs to go, you can actually come up into raster, and then you can say, create world file. And what it will do is it'll create that TFW file with the same name as your image in the same folder where your image came from. And then going forward, anytime you use the map I insert command and pick that image, it's automatically going to drop right into place. You'll never have to worry about moving it, transforming it, anything like that ever again. So those world files can be really handy. So if you're not familiar with those, definitely check those out. All right. And let's go ahead and go to another feature. I don't want to keep you too long today, but we have lots of stuff to cover. So the next one I want to do, and this is really common, probably one of the most popular functionalities utilized within the map environment. And to get to it, we're going to connect to data. And so you can see there's a button right on the Home tab, very first button, Connect to Data. And this will take you right into the Connect to Data dialog box. All right. Now in here, you can connect to all different types of GIS information. So ArcGIS, FGDB, Oracle, SDF, shapefiles, SQLs, anything you want. All these different connection types can be brought in very easily. All right. So that's going to kind of save you that time. So once again, if you're getting files from your GIS department or from somebody, or maybe you're downloading from a GIS portal, but you're working in drawing files, how do you get that GIS data turned into drawing files? Okay, stuff that you can use. Well, this is going to be the first step to it. So I'm going to grab an SDF. It really doesn't matter which connection type you pick. It's just really going to be the extensions and the connections you have. So I'm just going to grab an SDF. And I'm going to connect to some parcels. And also, full disclosure of this drawing, I have not set up a coordinate system on it yet. All I did was create a brand new drawing and give it a name. Okay, so it knows where it's at. I'm going to, now that I've pointed to it, I'm going to say connect to that file. Now, here's one of the cool things about Map 3D as well. So if I would have set a coordinate system in my drawing before I did this step, it would tell me what my current coordinate system is down here. And then it looks at the file I chose, and it looks at the coordinate system that's assigned to that file. Now, if I had already set a coordinate system, it will actually translate this from this coordinate system onto the one I'm on, which is really awesome. Now, if you don't have a coordinate system assigned like me, it's going to go ahead and take this coordinate system and assign it to my drawing. Okay. If you happen to grab, several pieces of GIS data for a single project, and maybe they're not all on the same coordinate system, it will always grab the first one. So whichever one you connect to first, that is what will get assigned to your drawing. And then going forward, any other files that are on that same coordinate system obviously will drop right in. Any that are on other ones will get transformed into that coordinate system. All right. All right, so I got those. Everything looks good. I'm going to let it go ahead and assign that CA1. I'm going to say add to map. And there we go. Now we have that data right there. So good stuff. And again, we could continue to bring in more if we wanted to. Make another connection. Maybe grab some roads. Oops. Connect to that. Add that to the map as well. And there we are. It looks like everything came in quite green. Probably not ideal for what we want. But what we can do now is, this is our task pane manager right here. And this is kind of how you access and manage all of the data that's GIS connected to your file. And this has been finicky for years. I can't tell you how many times you open the software, and if you go over to the View ribbon tab, you'll see the Map Task Pane button. It is pressed in, showing that it's visible on the screen. But I can't tell you how many times I switch to planning analysis. I go to the View tab, I look over here, and it shows pressed, and it's not on the screen. It's just one of those quirky little finicky things. So if you ever open up the map environment and you don't see it, and you come over here and it is pressed, just press it again, turn it off, and then turn it back on, and it'll pop right back up. All right. So anyway, you can see now we've got a layer for our parcels, layer for our roads. We have all of our data as well, because it is GIS. So I could pull up the data table. I could see all the rich information that comes along with that connection. So lots of cool stuff. I can also stylize everything too. So I can say, well, my parcels, I don't know if I necessarily want them all bright green. I can pick a new style for this. I'm not going to get too into styling. This will be a whole new lesson. But, for example, we can, let's just get rid of the fill area. And then let's make the borders, I don't know, we'll make them red. We'll apply that. And there we go. Now we've got that look there. Okay. So pretty straightforward. And then, and again, there's a whole new lesson I could do for you on just stylization because there's zoom level styles and all kinds of cool stuff. And let's go ahead and get the roads. Let's just make them nice and bright. How about we just make them like a yellow? Apply that. Looks good. Great. All right. So now we've got all this data. And you're like, cool, I'm connected to my GIS data. How does that really help me? Okay, well, again, our goal here is to make this into a drawing file for you. So say, for example, you went to the county website or the state or USGS or whoever it may be, and you pulled in this entire county. And you say, well, this is great, but my project is just right here. Okay, that's fine. What we can do is let's go ahead and add a little more detail. So I'm going to go ahead and say, for the roads, let me go back into the style real fast. Let's put a label on these. And so we'll say put a label on it. And since they're yellow, let's go ahead and make them yellow as well. And we don't want static text. We want the street name. So we'll put that in there. And we'll have it go, I don't know, above the line. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, not too bad. It's pulling from that data. It looks pretty good. 4 points might be a little bit big. Maybe we'll go 3. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like that. All right, so now we've got a bit more information, a bit more data. And the next thing we can do is we can get rid of the stuff we don't need. So if I wanted to, I can come in and say, well, I want to query to filter data. And I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to do a location query. And I'm going to say any object that happens to be inside or even remotely touching any part of a rectangle. So I'm going to say, give me all of this. I'll say validate. My expression is valid. Okay, execute that. And you'll see how it got rid of everything else. All right. And I can do the same with this one. I'm going to say query to filter data, location or rectangle, any part touching. That validated is good, good, and there we go. So now we're left with just this information, which is nice. And now what you want to do is you want to get yourself to a nice comfortable zoom level, because notice these are zoom level based. When I pick that text at 3 points, it's 3 points on the screen at all times. So you can see how you get a lot of overlap now, but you zoom in a little bit better and you can kind of move things around. And they even do a really good job of trying to stay visible on the screen. If you watch like the street names over here as I pan around, you'll see how they're kind of sliding around trying to stay visible for you. So everything looks good. All right. So now what I can do is I can jump over to my output tab and I can say current map to DWG. And I'll just go ahead and put it on my desktop. And I'll say Reading new project and save. And there we go. And so now there was a little bit of a blink. I don't know if you saw it. It was really quick. But now you'll notice I'm not getting that dynamic scaling and moving and everything else. Now I have a drawing file. I can drop Map 3D. I can disconnect my connections. And when I look at any of this data, we can see that they're going to be standard polylines and stuff like that, and everything's good. Actually, no, I'm still in the other one. It did capture this one though. Let me open the other one to show you that as well. So Reading new project. Let me open that one. There we go. So this one here got a polyline right there. Again, you already saw that just by the tooltip. So now this is a standard AutoCAD file. So that was a quick, easy way to connect to GIS data, grab just the portion that you want, stylize it with the look you want, and then save all of that to a DWG. So now you don't have to worry about all those connections anymore, which is really cool. All right. Don't want to keep you too long. We're running out of time. I've already been here for a while, but I do have one more cool thing I do want to show you as well. last feature. So this one, I find it really ideal, again, to streamline your workflows when you're working with big files. So again, I see this all the time. People come up to me and they show me their workflows, and just like that one GIS file I was just showing you, sometimes they have a drawing of an entire city or an entire county or whatever it may be, and they know they're working in one small area. And so what do? Well, they either open that drawing that's, the entire county, and then do a save as, call it their new project, zoom into the area they want, and then try and erase everything else. Or they insert that drawing into their current drawing, explode it, and then again try and erase everything that's not relevant to their project. Well, there's a much better way if you utilize Map 3D. So what we can do is, in this case, and we can find it up on the ribbon up as well. There's lots of great tools in here for doing these same things. But again, a lot of these things are available right here on this task panel. So if I switch over to the Map Explorer tab, you'll see that right now there's a folder for drawings. And this is drawings. This isn't GIS data. I'm not talking about shape files anymore. I have a drawing file that has a bunch of stuff in it, and I need a piece of it. Well, I can come over to drawings, and I can right click and say attach. And then I can go over and say, well, give me these parcels. And you know what? Give me the boundaries as well. So let me put all those in there. All right, cool. So now they're in there, and you're probably thinking, well, I don't see anything. Okay, well, I'm going to double click the wheel on my mouse to zoom extents. Okay, now I've zoomed extents. You can see my coordinate tracker right there. I still don't see anything. What's going on? Well, now if I come over here and I set this to quick view, and by the way, it just pulls up a dialog saying, which one do you want a quick view? I said select all. Okay, and look, there's all of my data. But when I click on it, it's a single object. Okay. The other problem is if I do a regen, I'm going to do a regen all, hotkey REA, enter, it goes away. It's not actually in my file. I didn't insert it. It's not a block. So I can come over and go quick view, select all of those, boom, there it is. But it's just a link showing me what's in that really big file. Okay, it's not actually in my file now. So once again, now what I can do is, now that I can see it, I can come over to my current query, right click and say define that. And I'll go ahead and clear that out. And like I did a moment ago, I'll do a location query. I'll say location query. Again, I get those same options. How about anything touching a polyline? And again, we have inside or anything crossing or remotely touching. When we could do polyline, fence, buffers, things like that. I'm just going to say polyline, define it. And I'm going to go ahead and say, oh, I picked it. Oh, it's going to want me to draw it first. Okay, that's fine. Let's just cancel it out real fast. And I'll just do a rectangle right there. And once again, I'll come in, I'll do a location query with a polyline. That one right there. So it grabs that stuff. And now there's some additional options in here. Now, if I went to preview mode, which is the default, by the way, and I execute the query, you'll see what it's going to keep. Okay? So based upon what those settings were. So this is how you can kind of check your work. How did it work out? But if I do a regen, again, it's gone. All right, so let's do it again. So location query, and I'm going to go ahead and say draw it this time. Okay, so not preview it, but draw it. I execute the query, and there we go. Now, I was able to grab just the portion of that file that I wanted. And if I was to, let me just force some properties so we can see a difference here. Let's just make these red. All right. And now if I went and did a quick view, we can see, and there's a little bit of, it's kind of hard to tell, but you can kind of see the file I linked to had all of this in there. But this here is just the portion that I had it draw from that other file. So if I do a regen, it's gone. But once again, I look at the properties, and these are just polylines. I was now able to get a portion of a huge file into my file without inserting it and bringing a bunch of old, antiquated, corrupt data along with it, without having to do a bunch of extra work of cleaning up and erasing a bunch of garbage I didn't want. All I had to do was connect to them and then draw an area and say, I need this piece. Use the draw function. And it ended up taking those things, bringing them in live, and everything's good. By the way, a little bonus tip for you, in case maybe your wheels are turning right now and you're thinking, well, why don't I just open both drawings and copy and paste them in? When it comes to working in Civil 3D, almost never use copy and paste. Okay? Copy and paste is a Windows function. Okay? It uses the Windows clipboard. It understands simple things like text. I want to take this sentence and copy it and paste it over there. It does not understand intelligent objects. And that's if you've ever gone into like maybe your block list, because you're going to insert something and you see a bunch of blocks that are like $AU6527 blah 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 blah. Those are usually from pastes. The software didn't understand what was on the clipboard. It grabbed it all, dropped it in maybe as a block, maybe you exploded it, and it just gave it some kind of cryptic name. Those will corrupt your drawings all the time. Okay, so watch out for those. Do not use copy and paste. You can use W block, right blocking things, or you can use some of the methods I've shown you today. But really avoid those copy and pastes. Those are just bad news when it comes to working with intelligent objects, especially BIM objects. All right, so this is kind of a long one today, but hopefully you found some of this information useful. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments below. Also, again, if you have any recommendations on other tools or features you'd like me to showcase, add those as well. I'm always open to new ideas. So thanks for watching. And if you want to be notified when new stuff comes out, don't forget to subscribe. Talk to you soon. Thanks.